Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 70. Page 70.
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is truly good to be together this morning. Those are the words we just sang as we celebrate this Shabbat day, as we celebrate Sophis Brogadir, who will be called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah this morning. And we join together in community, in prayer, in song, in celebration. And it is, we are grateful to have this time, to have this space to be together. Welcome to those joining on live stream as well. If it's your first time at Temple Beth David, welcome. I'm Rabbi Karen Citron, and so honored to be joined on our bima this morning by Batya Illinois, who is studying to be a rabbi at Hebrew College and near completion, and Michael McLaughlin adding his music as well. We hope you will add your voices to our service and our prayers. You can also find some explanation of our service in the prayer supplement. So please do join us in Hebrew, English, Lai works as well. And we'll continue now with our morning service, and we'll turn back just one page to page 68. As we do each morning, we offer these words of thank you to God for a new day with Modeh Ani.
מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה, בחמלה רבה אמונתך. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה, בחמלה רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך.
We continue on page 74 with Matovu, words that welcome us into this tent of prayer, into our sanctuary.
Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha
At this moment, we invite Sophie to come up to our bima to lead us in prayer. Sophie has been studying for many years to reach this opportunity to lead our congregation, and we'll continue on page 80 with our morning blessings, and we invite you to chant along with Sophie.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech vivina, lehavchin ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, hokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, rokach haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, hamehim mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, mabish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, hanotem la'ayev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, hama'avir sheina me'enai, utuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, sha'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, sha'asani b'chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, ozer Yisrael betifara.
And we'll continue now in the English on page 88. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. We turn now to page 100. The beginning prayers of our service are meant to be kind of warm-ups to get us ready to stand for our call to prayer. So we'll join in Psalm 150. The main word is hallelujah as we offer praise.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama te'aliyah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama te'aliyah,
We rise now on page 106 for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikada v'yikada shmei Rabba.
Amen.
Hadivrach yute v'amlich malchute.
V'chayechon u'vyom echon u'v'chayedecho bet Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'v'zman kariv.
Ve'imeru
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam lo me'omaya, yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudashah
Brichot.
le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata
Tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'mi'ira be'alma.
ve'imeru
Amen. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
We'll continue on page 110 with the blessing for light and creation.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech
Oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha v'rachamim. Uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chochma asita mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha. Ve'al me'orei or she'asita yefa'arucha sela. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir. V'nizkeh kulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. Page 112.
How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is your Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava. We join in Shema, page 114.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated, although with one exception, we'll invite Nate Brogadir to join us on the bima to help lead Ve'ahavta, these words that remind us to teach our tradition to the next generation.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha
וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. And let's join responsively with Sophie in the English on page 121.
The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is no one else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. We sing together our Song of the Sea, page 122.
שמך שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, הומה בעזרת ישראל, ובדרכנו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני God Israel.
We move into the central prayer of our service, the tefillah, called the prayer, and we'll begin together. This space also includes some time to offer our own prayers from the heart, and Sophie will begin leading us. On page 124, we rise now in body or in spirit.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibur Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuah U'Morid HaGashem, Mechaker Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Novim V'Rofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Mimit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah L'chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, Adonai Tzevaot, Melech ol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Adir Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, vehu Yashmienu, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גולך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. You may be seated. We'll continue together on the top of page 132 with our prayer that reminds us to especially rejoice on Shabbat.
במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי מקדשי שביעי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
We'll join now responsively with Sophie in the English on page 139, Modim Anachnu Lach. For all these things, we are grateful.
For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
Modim Anachnu Lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. Modim Anachnu Lach.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim Anachnu Lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. Modim Anachnu Lach.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
Modim Anachnu Lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim Anachnu Lach.
For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim Anachnu Lach.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We take a few moments to add the prayers from our hearts. come back together on page 140 for our prayer for peace.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amecha. Sim shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amecha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim.
At this moment in our service, we have arrived at our Torah service, and in this time, we now get to become witnesses to Sophie not only being a student of Torah, but becoming a teacher of Torah as she has prepared, again, many years to chant these ancient words for us and share her own personal interpretation, what these words mean to her and to all of us today. And Sophie is truly blessed to have 4 grandparents here, her parents, many family members, and we take this moment to pass the Torah through the generations of Sophie's family, symbolizing how she is the next link in the chain of our Jewish tradition. And she will bring the Torah around as well, and at that time you're welcome to touch the Torah if you'd like, or just give Sophie a wave. And this is a participatory moment, so we're going to be inviting different family members to join us on the Bima, and you can find the beginning of our Torah service on page 244. Page 244, we're going to invite Julia and Jake Busey to open our ark doors. And earlier in our service, Sophie received her talit from her grandparents, and we're now going to call grandparents Tina and Dick Brogadir forward, and Becca and Josh. And please rise.
Ein kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha. Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. Av harachamim hitiva v'rtzoncha et Zion, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki becha levad batachnu, melech elam v'nisa Adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, urdevar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Israel B'kedushato.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Galul Adonai iti, uneromim Hashemo yachdav. Adonai HaGedola, HaGevora, VaTiferet, VaNetzach, VaHod. Ki cho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, ki cho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Adonai HaMamlacha, Yamid Na'aseh lechol rosh. Devarim, Ashlosha Devarim, Ashlosha Devarim, Halam Omein. Ashlosha Devarim, Ashlosha Devarim, Ashlosha Devarim, Halam Omein. Al HaTorah ve'al Avodah ve'al Gemilot Chasadim. Al HaTorah ve'al Avodah ve'al Gemilot Chasadim. Baruch Shenatan Yamo Yisrael, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch HaMakom, Shenatan Torah Yamo Yisrael, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch HaMakom, Shenatan Torah Yamo Yisrael, Baruch HaMakom, Baruch HaMakom, Shenatan Torah Yamo Yisrael, Baruch HaMakom.
Please be seated. If you would like to follow along in our Torah portion this morning, actually our ushers can pass out Torah commentaries. If you would like one, maybe put your hand up and they can bring you one, or you're welcome to, if you need a stretch. This is to make sure Sophie's on target here. You're going to follow along. So Sophie will be chanting from the Torah portion for this Shabbat, which is Tazria in the book of Leviticus. So she will be chanting from Leviticus chapter 13. And if you are in the Torah commentary, we'll be on page 736 in the Torah commentary. And as they're making their way around, I will just say, if you are following along in the English, don't worry, Sophie's going to give you an interpretation of this as well. So we are reading the portion that deals with a skin disease that is highly contagious. Okay. We are also truly honored to have both of Sophie's parents chanting Torah this morning. So first we're going to invite Sophie's mother, Becca, to chant. And you can come on up. And for the honor of blessing the Torah for our first Aliyah, we're going to call forward Jennifer and Gabe Gould. So you can make your way up. Ya'amdu Aliza bat Yaakov Lev v'Golda Chana Gavriel Levi ben Yonatan v'Miriam Rishon.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aharon lemor. Adam ki yehieh ve'or besara se'ed o sapachat o vaheret ve'haya ve'or besaro lenega saraat ve'huva el Aharon hakohen o el achad mibanav hakohanim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And it is an honor to call forward our second Torah reader, Sophie's dad, Josh Brogadir. And for the honor of blessing the Torah, we call forward Dory and Seth Brogadir. Ya'amdu, Dora Nit Rachel, Bat Donald v'Josephine, Seth ben Ira Avraham v'Sara Batia Sheni. These are all Sophie's aunts and uncles.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
V'ra'ah hakohen et hanega be'or habasar v'se'ar banega hafach lavan umarei hanega amoch me'or besaro nega tzaratu ve'ahu hakohen v'timeoto.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Yasher koach. And Sophie is now going to continue chanting the rest of our portion. If you are following along, she will pick up at Leviticus 13, verse 4. So you guys can all have a seat. We call forward for the honor of blessing the Torah for our third aliyah, Allison Gould and Jill Busey, Sophie's aunts. Ya'amdu Eliza Chana bat Yonatan v'Miriam, Ya'el Chana bat Sarah batya v'Ira Avraham Shlishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Ve'im beheret Livanahi ve'or b'saro ve'amok ein mar'eha min ha'or usara lo hafach lavan ve'hizkir hakohen et hanega shivat yamim ve'ra'ahu hakohen bayom hashvi'i ve'hinei hanega amad be'einav v'hiskero hakohen shivat yamim shenit.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And we'll now invite up Sophie's grandparents, Mary Ellen and John Gould. Ya'amdu, Yonatan ben Baruch v'Tzipora, Miriam bat Shmuel v'Sara, Revi'i.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'ra'ah hakohen oto bayom hashvi'i shenit v'hine kehahanega v'lo fasahanega ba'or v'tiharo hakohen mizpachati v'chibes begadav v'taher v'im paso tifseh hamizpachat ba'or acharei hiraoto el hakohen l'tahorato v'nira shenit el hakohen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And continuing with the grandparent theme, we now invite forward for our fifth Aliyah, Tina and Dick Brogadir. Ya'amdu, Ira Avraham ben Zev Rachel, Sarah Batya bat Natan el v'simcha chamishi.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'ra'ah hakohen v'hinei pasta hamizpachat ba'or v'tim o hakohen sarati negat sarat ki tihye be'adam v'huva el hakohen v'ra'ah hakohen v'hinei se'et levana ba'or v'hi hafcha se'er lavan u'mihya basar chai bas'eh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And it is now truly an honor to invite Sophie's parents, Becca and Josh Brogadir, to bless the Torah. And I see in your family you give 2 Hebrew names each. So, Ya'amdu, Rivka Leah bat Yonatan v'Miriam, Gershon Shmuel ben Ira Avraham v'Sara bat Shlishi.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch atah Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Sarat noshenet hi be'or b'saro, v'tim o hakohen lo yaskirenu ki tamehu, v'im paroach tivrach hatzarat ba'or, v'hista hatzarat et kol or hanega merosho ve'ad raglav lehomar einei hakohen vera'ah hakohen vehine hista hatzarat et kol besaro v'tihar et hanega kulo Hafach lavan tahor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. We now call Sophie Brogadir to the Torah for the 7th Aliyah for our maftir to bless the Torah as a bat mitzvah. Ta'amod, 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 Zipporah Rachel bat Rivka Leah v'Gershon Shmuel habat mitzvah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Uvyom heira'ot bo basar ha'itma, v'ra'ah hakohen et habasar ha'chai, v'tim'o habasar ha'chai, tamehu tzara'atu, ohi yashuv, habasar ha'chai v'ne'epach le'lavan, uva el hakohen, v'ra'ah hakohen, v'hinei nepach hanega le'lavan, v'tihar hakohen, et hanega tahor hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. All right. So, Sophie, I do just have to let the congregation know, because you made that look so easy, that, and I know your classmates who are studying their Torah portions know it's very challenging to chant Torah. And if you were following along, again, you've probably seen enough about skin eruptions and hair falling out and all sorts of stuff. But again, we're going to hear a message about how this still speaks to us. Before that, we do pause in our Torah service, actually speaking of health and healing. And you guys are welcome to have a seat. We draw strength from Torah, and we take this moment in our service to add a Misha Berach, a blessing for healing to anyone who is ill at this time. You can find the words back in our prayer book on page 253. 253. And as I look through our congregation, if there is a name you'd like to share out loud, you're welcome to, or you can name anyone in your hearts as we pray for their health and healing. Pray for all the members of our temple community who are ill and join together.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We're going to invite Sophie now to share her Devar Torah, her own words of Torah with us.
This week's Torah portion, Parshat Tazria, in the book of Leviticus, describes a skin disease called Sara'at, now known as leprosy. At first glance, I was surprised about skin disease being part of the Torah, but I soon realized that this Torah portion is not just about a scaly skin affliction. I'll admit, at first I thought all this was a bit gross, but now I've learned that there is much more to understand. I had always thought that the Torah stories were about Abraham, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Moses, Aaron, and many other important people. It is most definitely about them, but especially in the book of Leviticus, there are portions about other important things. In many years, my Parsha, Tazria, and the next portion, Metzorah, are combined because they both talk about the same general subject. Tazria talks about disease on the skin, and Metzorah talks about the same disease in homes and on clothes as well. I think the main purpose of these portions is to figure out how to deal with a contagious disease and eventually how to bring people back together. As I was looking through the translation of this portion, I noticed that there was very little written about healing and bringing people back to the community. Most of the passages were about the sickness itself and its symptoms. In our services now, we always say a healing prayer called Misha Berach. In the Torah, there was little to no mention of getting better after you were sick or hurt. Some commentary did discuss healing in return, specifically how people had to sacrifice an animal in order to bring someone back to the community. Luckily, we don't sacrifice animals anymore in exchange for healing. We just say prayers instead. As I mentioned before, while there were very few writings about healing and bringing people back together, one that really stayed with me is a commentary by Rabbi Elise Goldstein. Her Devar Torah talks about how while tzara'at is a skin disease, it also affected you emotionally because you were exiled from the camp to quarantine. Her message on being welcomed back to the community really helped me understand what I wanted to speak about for this portion. She says, blood and water are sprinkled on the person, just like in the ceremony of the ordination of priests. The former Metzora is welcomed back into the community with open arms and communal affirmation, and like the priest who himself diagnosed the uncleanliness, the leper is anointed. This describes the healing ritual, but it is the next part that really talks about what happened after the person rejoins the community. She wrote, all this serves to show that in determining a solution to the problem of tzara'at, the Torah is concerned with what happened after the cure. The Torah is trying to prevent permanent stigma from being attached to one who has been afflicted by tzara'at. This all means that while this disease had very bad symptoms, there was also a big emotional part to it. Not only were you in isolation for an extended amount of time, but there was a guilt to having it, and people would probably think of you differently when you rejoin the community. To sum things up, while most of the text and commentary is about the illness itself, I think it is especially important to focus on healing and coming back to the community. You may wonder what all of this has to do with me. Even though my Torah portion is about sickness and disease, I like to think more about bringing people back together. Leprosy, or tzara'at, is not being passed around today, but another highly contagious disease is. I'm talking about COVID. But today, I wouldn't like to spend all of my time talking about how a virus tore us apart and all of the time we have had to spend away from each other. I would like to talk about how the priests and us now are trying to bring people back together as soon as possible. Back then, the priests served as doctors for two. Luckily for us, and for Rabbi Karen and Rabbi Micah, they aren't our doctors today. For my Mitzvah project, I collected new and gently used sports equipment to donate to children in West Africa. This ties into the theme of bringing people together because all of the equipment donated goes to team sports. Soccer, basketball, and volleyball are the sports I'm collecting things for. In team sports, you have to work together. I play soccer and basketball, and I love the team aspect of both sports. I love the feeling of sisterhood on both teams and how you can rely on your teammates to be there for you. Whether it be on the field and court or off, you can always count on your teammates to cheer you up if you're having a bad day. In the heart of the pandemic last year, there were also restrictions on sports. At first, we had to wear masks for soccer, and there were no throw-ins because doctors and scientists thought that COVID spread through touch and in the open air. In basketball, we also had to wear masks and give 6-foot distance on inbound plays. It was a really different experience, but luckily we are now past that and moving toward better times. Though those restrictions impacted the game, it didn't change the feeling of being on a team and how you interacted with your teammates. Last year, my basketball team made it to the finals with all of their restrictions. And most importantly, we made lasting friendships. I chose to donate sports equipment to children who have less than I do because no matter your living situation or income, I believe that all people should be able to feel this spirit of togetherness. Though people then and now had to quarantine for an extended amount of time, coming back to the community is the most important thing. Recently, the mask mandate at schools was lifted and masks are now optional. After a long time, it was so different to see everyone's full face, but it is a much better experience. Becoming a bat mitzvah has taught me about how I can be the best person possible. The Torah teaches us that no one is perfect and everyone has their flaws, but it's the effort that counts. I'm a very competitive person and a lot of the time a perfectionist. But I've learned that no matter what I think, I can't always win and be perfect. In the 7th grade Judaic class, we learned about how to be the best we can be. We learned about respecting our parents, siblings, friends, and all other people. This is a lesson I will take with me the rest of my life and always remember. One other thing we learned this year that really stuck with me was the difference between being nice and kind. One description I really liked was that nice is doing good things to others and helping. Kind is going out of your way to do these nice things. For example, you might see someone struggling with their groceries when they leave the supermarket. A nice person would help them if they were leaving also, but a kind person would help even if they were going in a different direction. I like this because everyone can do nice things, but you have to put an extra thought and effort to be kind. These lessons relate to my Torah portion because kindness is critical to bringing people back to the community. On the surface, kindness doesn't appear to be a main theme, but in deeper searching and my own interpretation, I found that this is a recurring theme throughout the Torah. The themes of kindness, community, respect, and healing, to name a few, are found in the Torah and are values I will continue to work on. Thank you all for being present today, and Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach, Sophie, which means kind of lifting up with strength as you have lifted all of us up with your words. And I think everyone will agree with me, Sophie, that you have just proven that ancient words of Torah still speak to us today. I know some people were skeptical when we were chanting, but truly a meaningful message for all of us. And actually, this is our first Shabbat at Temple Beth David with masks optional. So this is a huge change for us to be able to see faces. And, it is somewhat miraculous to be here in this moment, and want to recognize that and the ability to celebrate and be together. So Yasher Koach again. We are now going to rise as we lift and dress the Torah. It is an honor to call forward Jason and Matthew Gould for lifting and dressing, and we are on page 252.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה.
You may be seated. And Sophie is now going to share the Haftarah portion for this Shabbat, taken from the second book of Kings. If you still have those Torah commentaries, we're on page 747, and Sophie will offer the blessings, and the Haftarah portion, much like the Torah portion, tells a story of people afflicted with leprosy, but the prophet Elisha, much to your message, comes and helps to heal them. So the Haftarah actually especially does focus on the healing aspect of this theme.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem hana'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael Shalisha Vayave Leish Elohim Lechem Bikurim Esrim Lechem Seurim Vecharmel Betikono Vayomer Tein La'am Vayochelu Vayomer Misharto Ma Etenza Livnei Mea Ish Vayomer Tein La'am Vayochelu Ki Ho Amar Adonai Achol Vehoter Vayitein Lifneihem Vayochlu Vayotiru Kidvar Adonai Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Sor Kol HaOlamim Tzadik B'chol Hadorot Ha'el HaNeman HaOmer Ve'oseh Hamdaber Kayem Shechol Devarav Emet V'Tzedek Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al HaNevi'im Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdusha v'limnucha Lechavot u'tifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach U'mbarchim otach Yiparach shimcha b'fi kochai Tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat
Amen. Yasher Koach. We are going to rise now as we return our Torah to the Ark and share some words of blessing. Becca and Josh, please join us. And we are on page 256.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayaren keren le'amo tila lecho chasidav livnei Yisrael am kerovo Hallelujah Hallelujah.
So, Sophie, we were joking a little bit earlier this week, although it isn't really a joking matter, that when Rabbi Micah got COVID, and of course we were concerned about myself, that's why I'm wearing a mask, we kind of said, you know what, don't worry, Sophie, like you can do it all on your own. You really don't even need us, which I think we all saw here today. You didn't even need a rabbi, but it is truly an honor to share this moment with you and your family in front of the Ark as you become bat mitzvahs, you become a young adult member of our community, and truly you taught us a very adult message today. And I loved how you found an issue, a problem with your Torah portion in that it did focus more on the illness aspect. And so you sought out more commentary, and help to find a message that emphasized healing and strength and community. And this is such a message that we all need to hear today. So and I do have to also add that I'm actually kind of glad that for your blessing after the Haftarah, that you started with the blessing before Melody, which, by the way, most people probably didn't know other than me. But because you mentioned no one's perfect. And this is a good lesson to remember, because we all have moments where we might feel a little broken or ill or imperfect. And again, your message is that we always strive toward healing and strength and supporting one another, being not only nice, but certainly kind. So my hope for you is that as you continue to become an adult here at Temple Beth David, in all of your communities, that you will keep adding that voice of kindness and strength that is so contagious. And I know your Torah portion also talks about being contagious, but your voice and light and joy is also contagious. So I hope you will continue to share that with everyone who you love.
It is an honor to bless you with the words of the ancient words of our ancestors, the words of the priests, those same priests whose work was to bring people back into the community, and to bless you that as you are becoming such a beautiful teacher of Torah and a beautiful human, as you find and continue to find who you truly are and offer that to the world. We bless you with these words.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you always.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God's light shine through you and toward you and bless you with grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face be lifted toward yours. May you see God's light in everyone's face that you look at. And may you be blessed with shalom, with a sense of wholeness, completeness, and peace.
Amen. Amen.
We're going to face our ark.
Etz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomchei me'ushar daracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteiha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu chadesh yameinu kekedem. Simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov simen tov Yehilah Lecha Yisrael Yehilah Kol Lecha Yisrael Yehilah Kol Lecha Yisrael
Mazel tov.
Tov.
You may be seated.
Okay. She looked down at my blessing, which was dangerous. She looked at it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you hear?
So we had to opt if I was going to speak with my hoarse voice or Josh with the Brogadir Scott tears. So I'm going to speak and say a blessing that we've written for Sophie, which she unfortunately looked at while we were just singing, and so I think it brought some tears to her eyes. But this is a blessing from Dad and me for you, Soph. So Soph, it's truly a gift for Dad and me to be a part of you becoming a bat mitzvah. As you do in every endeavor you take on, you've applied yourself with true dedication of time, mind, and heart. Today you've graced us with your poise and wisdom. In the words of my father, your papa, you bring us such nachas. You truly bring Dad and me immense pride and joy today and every day. Since you joined this world just over 13 years ago, you've amazed us with your incredible strength. As a rather chunky baby, you had the uncanny ability to lift things much larger and heavier than you should. Image here, baby Sophie barely able to walk, lifting and moving an entire play table across the room. As a toddler, your strength of spirit brought you celebrity status at Nana's and Papa's Friday night services, where your dancing and connection to the Shabbat music brought joy to everyone around you. As you've grown, we've seen this strength take many forms. You've become a trusted confidant to your friends and relatives. You're a leader on your teams and at school. You're responsible, patient, compassionate, and fun when you take care of children and elders. You demonstrate a strong sense of character, strength of mind, and a most powerful heart. Dad and I chose your name, Sophie Rachel, Sipora Rachel, because we wanted to not only honor our families, but we also hoped that the strength, spirit, and compassion of your great-grandmothers would take root and find new life in you. And indeed, it has. Our families have deep roots in Judaism, and while traditions and shared experiences bring us together, we each must find our own meaning and connections in our Jewish faith. Today, you've not only led a most beautiful service and read from the Torah, and pretty much done this thing on your own, but you've also used your wisdom and heart to go beyond the surface of a rather unpleasant Torah portion and find a deeper and relevant meaning. You spoke of the importance of healing and bringing people together, of community, of perseverance, of resilience, and of kindness. Indeed, dear Sophie, in the reflection you shared through your Devar Torah, you touched upon our hopes and our prayer for you today and throughout your life. While we didn't finish a scroll of Torah today, there's a special prayer that we say, and it goes like this: Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazik. Be strong, and we will strengthen one another. This is so filling for you. Sophie, you have a unique ability to make yourself known while also making others feel cared for, seen, and valued. May you continue to find strength in your roots and sense of self, while also knowing you have the support of and strength of your family, friends, and community to nourish you. May you continue to be adventurous and work hard. May you explore, grow, and share your passions while continuing to demonstrate deep compassion. May your continued zest for learning, positive energy, and joyful spirit shine light on all those you encounter, as you do on all of us, your family, friends, and community that you've brought together today. Sophie, Dad, and I love you with all of our heart, and we're so honored to see how you continue to grow. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So Josh and Becca, well, I'm going to ask you to stay up for another moment so we can join our community here with Shahianu, our blessing for gratitude. And just want to offer that it's not really a surprise that Sophie is here today, given Becca and Josh how committed you both are. Shabbat it's just another Shabbat. It's you guys are so present, and really our community values both of your leadership on different committees, and Sophie's classmates especially are appreciative of you, Josh, for feeding them pizza every Wednesday night, because with COVID we decided the teens can't touch the pizza, so Josh showed up and hands out the pizza. So there is a Jewish saying that you've got to have physical sustenance together with spiritual sustenance. So we can't teach Torah to the teens without pizza. So you're welcome to join us in the Blessing of Shahianu. The words are on page 344. Again, saying thank you for arriving at this joyful moment in time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shahianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. And to Nate, we'll look forward to celebrating with you in a couple years. You're already well on your way with Ve'ahavta, so we'll add Torah to that soon. We're going to ask Sophie to stay up for just another moment. You can have a seat as we also invite Linda Holliner, our representative of Temple Beth David's Board of Trustees, also president of Sisterhood. And I have to say, we don't always have all women on the bima today, but fitting that Linda is your representative, and she has a few gifts to give you on behalf of our community.
On behalf of the board of Temple Beth David, I want to congratulate you on a beautiful job. You taught us so well about the lessons of leprosy and made it relevant to today, and you have inspired us all. Your course is quite remarkable. I want to present to you these gifts to help you celebrate Jewish Shabbat and Jewish holidays and continue your Jewish education. There is a Kiddush cup from the Brotherhood, candlesticks from the Sisterhood, and a book from the Board of Trustees. And you also get a $250 gift certificate from NIFTY for a trip to Israel, should you choose.
Thank you so much, Linda, and again to all of our temple leaders, to Tim Holliner, our temple president, who is taking care of our live stream this morning. And as we know, it does take a village to make these moments happen. So Sophie, we'll keep the gifts here for you. You can join your parents for a few minutes. And let's see, they disappeared. All right, we'll talk about the Denmarks in a minute. They're probably getting Rachala out. Okay, we're going to move into our concluding prayers for this Shabbat morning. You can find Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282. Please rise.
Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, L'Tet Gedula Le'otzeh Reshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoya Aratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו ושמו
We remain standing and turn now to page 294. Even in our most joyful moments, we take time to remember loved ones who are no longer with us. In our Temple Beth David community, we are especially remembering Henri Valois, who passed away in recent weeks, and these loved ones whose yahrzeit, whose anniversary of death occur this Shabbat. Ellie Deutsch, Bob Doucette, Marlene Ellenberg, Jordan Goldman, Pauline Heller, Edward Kaminsky, Charles Kobe, Esta Watsky. Give you a moment to name any other loved ones. And we join together as we bless the source of all life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We're going to ask that you remain standing. In a moment, we'll join in the blessings of Kiddush and Motzi. Thank you so much to the Denmark family for ushering today and for bringing a little challah out for everyone so you can take some on your way out. And Vivian Denmark, who is on deck to become Bat Mitzvah next, connecting these Torah portions of Tazria Mitzorah. So more to come next Shabbat. We're looking forward to celebrating with you, Vivian. So again, thank you so much. Just one note of when we end, we are still trying to avoid sort of major crowding over here. So we're just going to kind of ask that this side exit first. You can return Sidarim, and the weather is so nice and sunny. So if you want to maybe start to take challah outside, that would be helpful. At this time, Sophie, we're going to invite you up once more to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi, and great to invite your Temple Beth David classmates to come up on the bima to join you. And actually, Batya was your teacher last year, so I know, does everyone look a little older and taller? I know. Wow. All right. L'chaim. All right, so if you can take the cover off the challah, and again, we're not going to eat it up here, but we'll bring it out for everyone. Let's join together in the blessing.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, mazel tov again. We are going to conclude our service with Oseh Shalom, words of peace, and a melody especially requested by Sophie will add the words, may the one who makes peace above bring peace here amongst all of us. Shalom. peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom. So this I would like to start to make your way. Roma. Oh, say shalom. Roma. Uyase shalom. Uyase shalom. Uyase shalom. Alleluia. Thank you again to Michael McLaughlin and Bacha Illinois. Shabbat shalom. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace. They'll take it, yeah. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Mazel tov.